Euro Millions feeling with Friday's £114 million jackpot.
Plus, 10 UK winners are guaranteed to be millionaires. That's 10 more reasons to dance. 10 more robots. 10 more limbos. 10 more salsas. Friday's Euro Millions jackpot is £114 million. And 10 UK winners are guaranteed to be millionaires. Euro Millions from the National Lottery. It could be you. Estimated jackpot. Rules apply. 18 plus.
Friday night. Championship football on TalkSport 2.
And that settles it.
Blackburn.
And from Giacomo, right. Team news and lots of it. And from Giacomo, right. Team news and lots of it. For us at 7, Natalie Sawyer has live coverage of Forest against Porto in the Europa League. Team news for that is in. Jim Proudfoot has more.
Old boy Jan Bednarek, 1-1 from the first leg. And Leanne Sanderson's alongside me for an 8 o'clock kickoff with the build-up starting with Natalie Sawyer at 7 here on TalkSport.
TalkSport 2 tonight. Alex Crook can tell us more. Crookie.
And the good news for Villa is that Emi Martinez is fit to return in goal, having missed Sunday's 1-1 draw at Forest due to injury. It means the home side go with the same 11 that won 3-1 in the first leg at Bologna last week. Martinez in goal, Cash, Konsa, Torres and Digne at the back four, Anana and Tillemans in midfield, McGinn, Rogers and Buendia.
At the weekend, Jack Walton in goal for Jay Eastwood, who was sent off. But there are 5 changes for Bromley, for whom victory and only victory will secure that promotion. So Zach Medley comes in, so does Byron Webster, Ben Crowhouse, Ben Thompson and Jude Arthurs. I saw him warm up beforehand. I went, hey Jude, good luck tonight. It's Bromley against Cambridge here at Hayes Lane.
Wow, he went that way. Yeah. Going for Mickey Mouse, actually. Go on, last one.
Barbara
Bush.
John Closest wins.
I just want another question about Bucks tomorrow.
That European Cup final. Special times are back at Aston Villa.
And what tonight, Crystal Palace's first ever game in a European quarter-final ends with a victory, and a good one. And it's exciting to think, isn't it, what Palace may achieve in this European campaign. Are you ready for it?
Good evening, I'm Natalie Sawyer and welcome to another pivotal night in Europe. Intriguingly, we could have an all-Premier League semi-final to look forward to in the Europa League should Forest and Villa make it through their ties. But of all the Premier League sides still in Europe, it is Forest's campaign that is in the balance. Facing a Porto side who are on for a treble this season, they certainly are a tough test that Forest will face. However, they have beaten the Portuguese side at the City Ground already this term and will hope that they can use home advantage to reach a first European semi-final in over 40 years. We are bringing you Forest against Porto live here on TalkSport. Elsewhere, Aston Villa host Bologna, 3-1 up from the first leg, and of course have the most successful manager in the history of the Europa League, Unai Emery, looking to guide them to their first trophy since 1996. That match will be on TalkSport 2, but we will build up to it here. Whilst we'll also keep you in touch with how Crystal Palace fare in their trip to Italy, taking a commanding 3-0 lead to Fiorentina for the second leg of their Conference League quarter-final. All the matches kick off at 8 p.m. tonight. And a lot of Porto fans have made the trip over already. They've started to make their way into the City Ground here, where it's a pleasant evening, it has to be said. Forest fans slowly and Lightning Pockets have also made their arrival here. But it is a huge, huge night then in the Europa League and the Conference League as well. The teams have been announced already, so let's bring you the lineups first for Nottingham Forest against Porto with your match commentator. It's a good evening to Jim Proudfoot.
Hi, Natalie. Well, masterminding squad rotation is a real art. Vitor Pereira did it superbly in Portugal last week before making 9 changes for the Villa game on Sunday. Tonight, there are 5 more changes to that team and also 5 to the side that drew the first leg at Porto. One man missing, Elliot Anderson, who's not involved after the death of his mother, Helen. And our best wishes go out to Elliot and his family. Chris Wood starts up front for just the second time since his lengthy injury layoff. Jair Cunha returns to the back to replace Milenkovic, with the Brazilian having missed 5 weeks with an ankle injury. Ortega replaces Sells in goal again. Dominguez is back in midfield, and Darren Doy plays on the left in place of Hudson-Odoi. So Forest have Ortega in goal, Aina, Cunha, Murillo and Williams, Sangare and Dominguez, Hutchinson, Gibbs, Wyden and Doy and Wood. Porto's one change comes at right back. Martin Fernandes, who scored that spectacular own goal last week and then soon went off injured, is replaced by Alberto Costa. So they've got Diogo Costa in goal, Alberto Costa, Thiago Silva, Jan Bednarek and Zaidu the back 4. In midfield 3 of Fofana, Rosario and Vega. And then William Gomez, Moffey and Borja Sainz, once of Norwich, in the front 3. On the Forest bench, keepers Sells and Willows, along with Morato, Hudson-Odoi, Igor Jesus and Luca, Yates, McAtee, Bakur and Milenkovic, Abbott and Sinclair. And we kick off here at 8 o'clock.
Jim, thank you very much. We're going to be back with the former Lioness striker Leanne Sanderson very shortly to concentrate on this game. But elsewhere tonight in the Europa League, TalkSport 2 will bring you live commentary of Aston Villa against Bologna. And with the teams for this one, it's our chief football correspondent, Alex Crook. Good evening, Alex.
Good evening, Natalie. Villa have 5 players who would miss the first leg of a potential semi-final if they pick up a yellow card tonight. 4 of them, Cash, Konsa, McGinn and Rogers start. Emi Martinez is back in goal as Villa make a trio of changes from the 1-1 draw against Forest in the Premier League on Sunday. Konsa and Buendia also return, so it's Martinez in goal, a back 4 of Cash, Konsa, Torres and Digne, Anana and Tillemans in front of them, McGinn, Rogers and Buendia behind Ollie Watkins in attack. Bologna, without their suspended centre-back John Lukumi, make a trio of changes from the first leg. Both the centre-backs drop out. Cassele and Vitic come in. Nicola Moro also comes in to midfield. Unai Emery, the Villa manager, continuing his quest for an unprecedented 5th Europa League title as a manager. This one live on TalkSport 2. Villa 3-1 up from the first leg as they host Bologna.
Alex, thank you. And the former Arsenal midfielder Adrian Clark is alongside Alex, and we'll be speaking to him later on. Whilst also tonight in the Conference League, Jeff Peters will be keeping you updated from Crystal Palace's trip to play Fiorentina, and he too has the teams. Evening, Jeff.
Very good evening to you. Palace with a 3-0 lead from the first leg, and Oliver Glasner has named a similar side to last Thursday. Evan Gesson not involved though due to a knee injury. Jeremy Pino replaces him. JP Mateta along with Mitchell and Sarr were on target last week, and the striker added another couple off the bench in the win against Newcastle. So it's Henderson in goal, Richards, Lacroix and Canvo at the back, Munoz, Wharton, Kamada and Mitchell across the middle, with Sarr, Pino and Mateta up top. They have 4 players who are a booking away from suspension, including the back 3 and Wharton. Some familiar faces in the Fiorentina lineup. Mana Solomon of Spurs and Leeds winger Jack Harrison are both on loan there, and they also include David De Gea, but Moise Keane and Tariq Lamptey are injured. Dodo is suspended after his yellow card in the first leg. Underway in Italy at 8, where Palace have a 3-goal advantage.
Jeff, thank you very much. Let's bring you back then to the City Ground then, ahead of this tie between Nottingham Forest and Porto. 1-1 it is from the first leg, and the former Lioness striker Leanne Sanderson is alongside me here in Nottingham. Leanne, I know you were very much across last week's game. You were part of our commentary team for that one. Before we kind of sink our teeth into that one, just looking at the team news and what Vitor Pereira has gone for. Chris Wood, he's spoken about how he's going to have to manage his knee injury probably for the rest of his career. It's a timely return, though, for him, isn't it? Because they've clearly missed Chris Wood this season.
Yeah, they have, and I think, when he speaks about the injury, he speaks about having to maintain it, and I think, obviously, starting that game last weekend, then coming on at the weekend, I think, more minutes, and he says, I don't have time to settle in. I need to get the ground. My team needs me, and I like that type of mentality as well that he said in his press conference. And they have missed him. They've missed his goals. I think Igor Jesus has done a really good job in this competition, joint top goal scorer, but in the league hasn't really scored that many goals. And I think Chris Wood is that type of centre forward that scores different types of goals. And obviously at the weekend coming up against his former side in Burnley as well. And it's interesting because when Chris Wood, before he was injured, they had a different manager, and a different manager before that. Didn't even get to play under Sean Dyche. That was his former manager at Burnley, which is interesting in itself. But yeah, him being back, and I was quite surprised he was actually starting, because one of the journalists said yesterday to Vitor Pereira, usually in the Europa League press conferences, whoever does the press conference doesn't start. And they all started laughing. So maybe it's a bit of kidology, but it's fantastic that he's back. I mean, they've gone with Hutchinson. They're saying alongside him in the lineup. I don't think Hutchinson will play alongside him. I think he'll drop into the 10 with Morgan Gibbs-White. But yeah, I mean, I think last week's game that is one of those ones. Porto do not lose. Those 2 games all season, one of which was against Forest. They don't, especially do not lose at home, right? They wanted to win that game. Forest was one of those ones. Let's get out of here. Still in the tie. Massive game at the weekend against Villa. No injuries, and that was the focus. And I know this has divided a lot of us in the TalkSport team and the fans of what's more of a priority. Is it Burnley at the weekend? Is it tonight?
Well, we'll come on to that a little bit later on, but looking back on that first leg, and I mean, you look at the statistics, and Porto dominated the game. They had so many more shots than Nottingham Forest. That'll be the disappointment for Francesco Farioli, the Porto boss, that they didn't take advantage of that. And Forest certainly benefited from a remarkable, an extraordinary home goal as well.
Oh yeah, I mean, I felt for Fernandes, but then when he went off, I know he's not in the squad tonight, because I'm thinking you'd have to drag me off that pitch after scoring an own goal like that. It was pretty bread and butter. I mean, for Costa, the goalkeeper, a lot of people are saying what is the keeper doing, but like, his whole body positioning was facing the wrong way, and he's gone back to the keeper. And it's modern day football now. Like, people don't think forward first, do they now? The goalkeepers are touching the ball more than the outfield players. That's a whole another conversation in itself. But like, this Porto side, like, they were disappointed last week, and I think given Vitor Pereira's history with this club, he was at the club for 8 years, 5 years with the academy, 3 years with the first team. It was quite a nice touch last week when Andre Villas-Boas, the club president, gave him like such a warm welcome. You don't see that very often, do you? People leaving clubs and then going back and getting that type of reception, because sometimes there's a bit of bad blood.
Yeah, you're right to mention the ties that Vitor Pereira has with Porto as well coming into this one. But he's very much the Forest man and knows the big deal that the rest of this season could be for Nottingham Forest. It could end up with silverware if they go all the way, of course, in this competition, but there's also their Premier League status at stake. As I say, we'll talk more about that a little bit later on, because I think Jim Proudfoot would like to join us for that conversation as well, to discuss which might be the priority. But hey-ho, when you look at what happened in that first leg and coming into this tie, obviously you will talk about home advantage. Home advantage is always so very important. But actually, Forest have not won their last 6 home games in all competitions. They last won here at the City Ground on January the 29th, which was in the Europa League. That was that Ferencváros 4-0 victory. That's a big cause for concern, isn't it? That they can't make this the fortress they want it to be.
It feels like a fortress when you're here, though, which is quite interesting, because you look at that when they had against Fenerbahce away. Like, that is a difficult place to go to. And I think you're looking at the Ferencváros game, you know, that was a Ferencváros team that hadn't lost in this competition, and they got the job done. I think it's interesting because players like McAtee usually play in this competition. He's not in the starting 11 tonight, and I feel like the longer it goes on, I said it on Drive earlier, you have to start to pick your best team. I don't come from this place now where it's like, and I've been there myself as a player, where, you know, you want to play, similar to Kepa starting in the cup final when David Raya should have started. I don't like this whole promising people minutes in games. You have to win. All that matters is winning.
I suppose that is the fine balance, though, isn't it? And I totally agree with you. You probably do want to start playing your stronger teams. That helps with your momentum. That helps with the relationships, the rhythm that your team has as well. But then you have the risk of injury that you don't want to happen to any of your players, like on an evening like tonight. Bear in mind they've got such an important run in the Premier League too.
Yeah, but you can't think like that. I always used to think as a player, if you think you're going to get injured, you will. All those players on yellow cards tonight, if they think they're going to pick up a yellow, they will. I'm not saying in a superstitious way, I'm just saying the reality of the situation. Like, there's 6 games to go in the Premier League. Every single game for Forest, for West Ham, for Leeds, for Tottenham, all those teams down there, is going to be like 6 cup finals.
I think it's a really difficult one as far as Vitor Pereira is concerned, but I think he has gone almost as strong as he could with the players that are available. He swapped the keepers round, and I think that most people would think that Sells is above Ortega, but Ortega played in a Champions League quarter-final tie for Manchester City a couple of years ago, so he knows what it's about. Hudson-Odoi rather than Dan-N'Doye, a lot of Forest fans would potentially wanted to have seen that. Certainly Milenkovic will be a big absence at centre-half, but other than that, I think he has gone as strong really as he could do. I don't think the Forest fans will turn up here and be disappointed that we'll look at this as a missed opportunity necessarily. And you can understand why he's left Milenkovic out, prioritising the Burnley game at the weekend, which is a monumental relegation 6-pointer as far as Forest are concerned. So if they win that, they go 6 points above Spurs.
Yeah, as you said, only 3 points clear of the bottom three as things stand, and it is a huge game coming up at home for Forest then at the weekend. We'll talk about the sort of debate about what is more important for a team like Forest right now. Is it winning the Europa League or is it Premier League survival? That's a conversation to be had a little bit later on. But you are tuning in to Kickoff on TalkSport with Ladbrokes. It's 18 and over, gamblerware.org. Tonight we're bringing you live commentary of Nottingham Forest against Porto then in the second leg of the Europa League quarter-final. Kickoff is at 1-1. It is from the first leg. Over on TalkSport 2 at the same time, we'll be bringing you Aston Villa against Bologna. Villa 3-1 up from the first leg. We'll look ahead to that one next.
Kickoff on TalkSport with Ladbrokes. 18 plus gamblerware.org.
Young people today, can they really handle responsibility? Or are we just kidding ourselves?
Welcome to McDonald's. Some think young people can't manage. We disagree. That's why 1 in 3 McDonald's managers are under 25.
Hey, Kira. Hey, Belle. How are you? Right? Yeah, I'm good. It's busy out there, though.
Like Kira from South London. She's 23 and manages a team of 20.
Let's go.
Leadership. Making it happen at McDonald's.
Psst. You. Yeah, you. Listening to the radio. Up to whatever. We just wanted to let you know there's a lotto draw coming up. And
it could be you.
Yeah, what he said. Lotto. From the National Lottery. Rules and procedures apply. Players must be 18 or over.
Next.
Hi, just these, thanks. Did you do cashback?
Just need to check you're not a robot first. New security policy.
OK.
How many traffic lights can you see out the window?
2?
No, that's wrong.
Right, well, obviously I'm not a robot.
That's what a robot would say.
What a load of malarkey. Smarty keeps things simple, like 80 gigabytes for £10, and on a rolling monthly SIM plan, you're free to leave any time. Less malarkey, more smarty. Search Smarty Mobile.
Man City versus Arsenal this weekend on Sky Sports.
This is absolutely massive.
A big moment.
The moment of the season.
A big rivalry.
The greatest of rivalries in modern football.
A big prize.
Arsenal teetering on the brink of something wonderful.
Don't miss the Premier League's biggest game of the season. Head to nowtv.com. Man City versus Arsenal. Stream on Sky Sports with a flexible Now membership. 18 plus UK only. Broadband 2.5 megabits per second required.
And you'll join us for the Coral Scottish Grand National, and the racing fans are air for it. As always, the Highland Historic are here, still reminiscing about that iconic Red Rum win. There's the Tartan Titans, Kilts, Sporrans the lot, splendid. And finally, the local loyalists. If there's a Scottish jockey or trainer, form goes out the window. Whatever kind of racing fan you are, don't miss the Coral Daily Download. Every morning from 6 on TalkSport with Coral. We're here for the Coral Scottish Grand National. T's and C's apply. 18 plus gamblerware.org.
Europa League live on TalkSport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Here for it. Book now at enterprise.co.uk.
It's a gripping double of game day football, live on the TalkSport network. Brentford versus Fulham in the Premier League on TalkSport, with Portsmouth versus Leicester in the Championship on TalkSport 2. Both games kick off at 12:30. Saturday is game day on TalkSport and TalkSport 2.
You're listening to the Europa League live on TalkSport with Enterprise. Rent a car here for it. Book now at enterprise.co.uk. And it's a huge night in Europe once more. 3 Premier League sides looking to continue their journey on the continent. So we are here at the City Ground for Nottingham Forest against Porto, which is in the balance for the home side. 1-1 it is from the first leg. They will hope to make home advantage count this evening. Aston Villa 3-1 up against Bologna. They are hosting them at Villa Park. That one is over on TalkSport 2 for you, and we'll also keep you up to date with Crystal Palace in the Conference League. They had a brilliant first leg at home. They're at Fiorentina tonight, 3-0 up from that first leg. So lots at stake this evening, and the players, Forest players, just making their way out for their warm-ups here, and it's going to be an intriguing night, that is for sure. We'll continue our build-up to it, but right now it's time to bring you an odds update with Ladbrokes.
Odds update on TalkSport with Ladbrokes. Get a free bet every week of the season and a big boost every day. That's Ladisfaction. Minimum £5 bet. Conditions apply. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
And we say very good evening to Chris Wood. How you doing, Chris?
Yeah, not too bad, Natalie. How are you?
Yeah, very, very good. I'm very excited, actually, about everything that's going to be happening tonight because it's such an important evening. So let's start with where we are at this evening, and it's Nottingham Forest taking on Porto live on TalkSport. Give us the odds then for this one.
Yeah, it definitely looks the most interesting tie featuring you. In 90 minutes of 13-10, the draws in 11-5 and Porto are 11-5 as well. Forest are 4-6 to qualify there, by any means, and Porto slight odds against at 11-10. I think it's going to be a tight game there tonight. The goal line's pretty low. You can back over 1.5 goals at 2-5 and the unders at 7-4. Over 2.5 goals is decent odds against actually at 5-4, and the unders is 3-5 there. I think it's going to be a tight one. I think Forest to win by exactly 1 goal in normal time could be a bit of value at 11-4. Porto for the same market at 18-5. But I think Forest, it's good to see my namesake back up front. They'll be relying on him tonight. He does look back to his best. He's 11-2 to score the first goal, 12-5 to score to score any time in 90 minutes. Morgan Gibbs-White, obviously a big player for Forest. He's 5-1 to score any time, 11-5, 5-1 to score the first goal, 11-5 to score any time. But I've been really impressed with Amari Hutchinson. Hoping he can have a big game tonight. He's been a bit up and down the season, but when he's on, he's really good. He's 5-1 to score at any time in 90 minutes and 11-2 to have an assist.
OK, that is what's going to be happening then at the City Ground. It looks like it's going to be a nail-biter going by the odds as well. Aston Villa did really well in their first leg in Italy. They're taking on Bologna. That'll be on TalkSport 2. 3-1 up Villa are from that first leg. So what are the odds on this match?
Yeah, Villa have gone with a very strong team, and obviously it looks a lot more straightforward for them. They're 4-7 to win in 90 minutes, 16-5 the draws in at 16-5, and Bologna are 9-2 to win in 90 minutes. I think it's going to be a lot more open there. You can back Villa to win and both teams to score at 23-10. Over 2.5 goals is 3-4 and under is even money. Over 3.5 is 15-8 and under is 2-5. They've gone, as I mentioned, they've gone very strong. Ollie Watkins up front, 4-1 to score the first goal, 13-10 to score any time. Morgan Rogers just a shade bigger. He's 5-1 to score the first goal, 7-4 to score any time. But I think Yuri Tillemans, since he's come back, has looked really, really good. He's 17-4 to score at any time tonight and 11-2 to have an assist. I think the assist could be a bit of value there.
The Porto team just making their way out, and the away fans to our right-hand side are giving them the rapturous applause that they hope might spur them on to victory. They're having a fantastic campaign, it has to be said, in general, and on for a treble if they can get through to the final of this competition in the Europa League. Moving on to the Conference League, wow, Crystal Palace are just enjoying life in Europe at present. They had such a dominant 3-0 victory over Fiorentina in the first leg last week. They're now in Italy. I wonder, you can't see anything but Palace coming away with a victory over the course of the tie, surely.
Oh no, absolutely. They're very short to qualify. They're 1 to 100 to qualify. Like a 3-0 advantage is massive. They're 6 to 5 to win the game tonight. Actually, they're slight favourites. Fiorentina are missing quite a few players. Obviously, Moise Keane's not playing. The draw's in at 12 to 5, and Fiorentina 11 to 5 to win in 90 minutes there. I think again I think it'll be a lot more open. Fiorentina has to go for it. They've got some, like talking about the Porto fans, like the Fiorentina support was absolutely manic at times. Over 2.5 goals there at evens looks fair enough. Over 3.5 at 5 to 2 likewise. Jean-Philippe Mateta, like after all of his, will he, won't he leave, and then being injured, he looks absolutely buzzing at the moment. He's 18 to 5 to score the first goal and 13 to 10 to score any time. I'm really happy to see Jeremy Pino in the team tonight. I think he's a really good player. Started the season really well. Form's dropped off a little bit, but he's 10 to 1 to score the first goal and 9 to 2 to score at any time. And Tyreek Mitchell as well, I think he's massively underrated. He's 7 to 1 to get an assist. I think there could be a bit of value there. Jack Harrison, a familiar name for the Fiorentina team. He's 9 to 2 to score at any time and 5 to 1 to get an assist.
Chris, thank you very much. We are set for a fascinating evening, that is for sure. And that was a look at the latest odds with Ladbrokes. There's 18 and over, gambleaware.org.
Odds update on TalkSport with Ladbrokes. Ever dreamt of playing at Anfield? Place a £5 bet builder at selected odds on the Ladbrokes app and you just might. 25 plus, terms and conditions apply. Gambleaware.org.
OK, so we are keeping right across events here at the City Ground, as we will be doing at Villa Park, and as well as how Crystal Palace get on in Italy. But let's concentrate on Aston Villa and bring in our commentary team for that one. It's Adrian Clark and Alex Crook. Leanne Sanderson is alongside me here as well. And Adrian, if you don't mind, before we talk about that game that you're commentating on, obviously we heard the sad news about the passing of Arsenal goalkeeper Alex Manninger, and as a former Arsenal midfielder, I realise you didn't play with him, but just give us the thoughts on him as a goalkeeper at Arsenal and what he was like, the stories you may well have heard about him.
Yeah, look, it's tragic news, isn't it? He's only 48 years of age, horrible accident. Look, he's very, very well thought of at Arsenal. He came in as I left, so we didn't really cross paths, unfortunately, but as a goalkeeper, he's respected really among Arsenal fans as one of the best sort of deputy goalkeepers in the club's modern history, really. He was the backup to David Seaman, and in that double year in 1998, David Seaman was out for a bit and he came in and was absolutely magnificent. And if it wasn't David Seaman that was ahead of him in the pecking order, he probably would have kept on as number one. He performed that brilliantly for the team, so it'll forever be in the hearts of Arsenal supporters. And yeah, it was just horrible news when that came through this afternoon.
Yeah, absolutely, and our thoughts go out to his family and friends, certainly. Talking about this game then at Villa Park, Aston Villa very much in control of this tie, 3-1 up from that first leg against Bologna, and Unai Emery's gone for it with a really strong lineup, the same lineup that won in Italy, Alex.
Yeah, he has. No real surprise, because their Premier League form has improved of late. They're in a really good position to secure Champions League football, but it's all about a trophy, isn't it? They've not won major silverware since the League Cup final way back in 1996. I would argue that's too long for a club of this size and stature. We're here at Villa Park, which is one of my favourite places to come and work. The glorious history this club has is in evident all round the stadium. They've got the commentary for the 1982 European Cup final emblazoned on the main stand opposite, and I think Unai Emery and these Aston Villa players see it as a chance to make their own history, and I think they've got a great opportunity given Unai Emery's incredible record in this competition. As you say, heavy odds on favourites to go through tonight. I'm interested, Adrian, actually, do you think in the semi-final, is it better the devil you know? Would they rather play Nottingham Forest or would they rather play Porto?
Oh, it's a tough question to answer. I think, do you know what? I think they maybe rather play Porto, play a side outside of the Premier League. I mean, what a tie it would be, by the way, if Villa and Forest both progressed this evening. That would be electric across both legs, wouldn't it? And it would be very interesting to see how Forest approached that, because obviously at the moment they're sort of keeping their powder dry in terms of their strongest 11 tonight for the weekend, which I totally understand. But in a semi-final against Aston Villa, I think Victor Pereira would have to go super strong. But look, Villa aren't there yet. I mean, Bologna were really good in the first leg, Natalie. They were unlucky. They had they had 4 big chances in that game to Villa's 1. All 3 goals that Villa scored were kind of gifted to them a little bit. They were mistakes from the Italians. And I've been looking at the record. You know, the only team they've lost to in the competition this season, Bologna, are Aston Villa.
Twice.
Twice. Yeah, because they came here back in September and lost 1-0. But even then, it was a good performance. They outshot Villa that night. And their away record is phenomenal, domestically and in Europe. So I think if Bologna score first tonight, this game might be a lot more interesting than people imagine it to be as we stand ahead of kickoff.
Well, certainly the wingers for Bologna were causing Aston Villa some problems. Jonathan Rowe was a standout, really, for Bologna in that first leg. But it is Leanne Sanderson, a really interesting question that Alex Crook posed to Adrian Clark there about who would Villa rather play? Would it be Forest, someone they know so very, very well, or Porto?
They'd probably rather play Porto, but I want Forest to go through and play Villa, realistically. I mean, when you're looking at the team still in it, I'm not the typical person that believes... You think they'd rather play Forest?
I do, yeah. I just think they know Forest week in, week out in the Premier League. I think 8 times out of 10, if they play Forest domestically, they're going to beat them. I think they'd rather play Forest.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, when you're looking at the teams that are still in it, I'm not the typical person that's from England that thinks the English team's going to win.
Yeah.
But you're looking at Freiburg, you're looking at Braga, Betis. You fancy Villa or Forest against those sides. And we were there now. Remember the Bologna game when Villa went the beginning of the season with 6 games.
First ever win
ever win against Bologna. So I fancy Villa. I don't think it's going to be easy, but I fancy Villa to go through tonight, and I fancy Forest to go through.
Well, we look forward to the 8 o'clock kickoffs then at Villa Park and at the City Ground. Alex and Adrian, thank you very much. They're your commentary team for that game over on TalkSport 2. But Villa are in a very strong position to book their place in the last 4. They have a 2-goal advantage that they'll want to protect at the very least, or of course try and extend that lead over the Italian side too. Our coverage tonight is brought to you in partnership with TNT Sports, the home of European football. Next we'll be looking ahead to all of our live football with Forest versus Porto right here on TalkSport, Villa against Bologna on TalkSport 2, and some massive weekend games coming up in the Premier League. We might cast our eye over those as well.
Kickoff on TalkSport with Ladbrokes. 18+ gambleaware.org.
Aldi! Saving you on your weekly shop 5 years in a row. It's official. Aldi's been named which cheapest supermarket of the year again. Aldi, always finding ways to save.
Next.
Hi, just these, thanks. Did you cash back?
Just lights, can you see out the window?
Oh, 2?
No, that's wrong.
Right, well, obviously I'm not a robot.
That's what a robot would say.
What a load of malarkey. Smarty keeps things simple, like 80 gigabytes for £10. And on a rolling monthly SIM plan, you're free to leave any time. Less malarkey, more Smarty. Search Smarty Mobile.
Psst. You. Yeah, you. Listening to the radio. Up to whatever. We just wanted to let you know there's a lotto draw coming up. And
it could be you.
Yeah, what he said. Lotto. From the National Lottery. Rules and procedures apply. Players must be 18 or over.
On average, Rift Tax Refunds get their customers £3,000 back. Search Rift Tax Refunds today.
Man City versus Arsenal this weekend on Sky Sports.
This is absolutely massive.
A big moment.
The moment of the season.
A big rivalry.
The greatest of rivalries in modern football.
A big prize.
Arsenal teetering on the brink of something wonderful.
Don't miss the Premier League's biggest game of the season. Head to nowtv.com. Man City versus Arsenal. Stream on Sky Sports with a flexible Now membership. 18+ UK only. Broadband 2.5 megabits per second required.
Listen up, football fans. BetMGM brings Vegas entertainment to the biggest games and the biggest names. Because when it comes to betting on football, we're in a league of our own, baby. Offers? Oh, you know we got offers. Like bet £10 and get £40 in free bets. BetMGM. It's showtime. New customers only. Wagering requirements and conditions apply. 18 plus. Please gamble responsibly.
Hawksby and Jacobs on your side every weekday afternoon from 1 on TalkSport with Toolstation. Delivering cutting-edge comment, a catalogue of riveting guests, and drilled-down dialogue to power up your lunchtime. Plus, breaking news, views, and loads of laughs. Don't miss the nation's favourite sporting lunch with the legendary Hawksby and Jacobs every weekday afternoon from 1 on TalkSport with Toolstation. Next stop, Toolstation.
Europa League live on TalkSport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever it is, we're here for it.
Talk Sport Sports Headlines with Bostik. For workable, easy-to-apply mortar that tools easily, pros trust Bostik.
Good evening, I'm Max Scott here with your sports headlines. Nottingham Forest will be without Elliot Anderson for tonight's Europa League quarter-final with Porto following the death of his mother. The club say their heartfelt sympathies are with Anderson and his family. Forest are level at 1-1 with the Portuguese side going into the second leg at the City Ground live on TalkSport. Now, Moises Caicedo signed a new contract at Chelsea believed to be until 2033. It extends the 8-year deal he signed when arriving from Brighton by 2 years. And former double heptathlon world champion has told Hugo Ekitike he can come back from his ruptured Achilles better than ever. Katarina Johnson-Thompson, herself a Liverpool fan, did the same to her left leg but told TalkSport she actually thinks it's now stronger than it was before the injury.
The football animal is alive. Kickoff live on TalkSport.
You're listening to Europa League Live on TalkSport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever it is, they're here for it. And we tonight are at the City Ground for Nottingham Forest against FC Porto in the second leg of the Europa League quarter-final. It's 1-1 from that first leg last week in a match where the Portuguese side really did dominate but weren't able to make that advantage count. So can Forest make their home advantage matter in tonight's tie? Full live commentary to come here on TalkSport. And right now it's time to look at the latest football action with Ladbrokes.
The big preview on TalkSport with Ladbrokes. Get a free bet every week of the season and a big boost every day. That's Ladisfaction. Minimum £5 bet. Conditions apply. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
Well, 3 Premier League sides are in action this evening in Europe. Let's start with our game here at the City Grounds and bring you a reminder of the team news for Nottingham Forest against Porto. Here's your match commentator once more, Jim Proudfoot.
And there are 5 changes for Forest, just 1 for Porto from the first leg teams. Chris Wood leads the line for Forest, having played the opening 45 minutes last week. Jai Cunha makes only his 8th appearance for the club and his first for 5 weeks. Morgan Gibbs-White makes his 300th career appearance. They have Ortega in goal, Aina, Cunha, Murillo and Williams, Sangari and Dominguez, Hutchinson, Gibbs-White and Ndoye and Wood. Porto's one change sees Alberto Costa replace last week's own goal scorer Martin Fernandez at right back. Kickoff here at the City Ground, a little over 20 minutes away.
Jim, thank you very much. Kicking off at the same time on TalkSport 2, we're bringing you live commentary of Aston Villa against Bologna, that too in the Europa League, and Aston Villa 3-1 up from that first leg. Here's a reminder of the team news for that one with our chief football correspondent Alex Crook.
Well, you certainly can't accuse Unai Emery of having one eye on Aston Villa's Premier League game here against Sunderland at the weekend, despite the fact his team have a commanding 3-1 lead from the first leg in northern Italy a week ago. It is a very strong Aston Villa lineup. 3 changes from their last Premier League team. That was a 1-1 draw against Forest, their potential semi-final opponents. Emi Martinez is back from injury. He replaces Marco Bizot in goal. Ezri Konsa is back at the heart of the Villa defence, while Emi Buendia comes in for Ross Barkley, who is not registered to play for Villa in this competition. It means the home side go with the same 11 that were so impressive a week ago. Live on TalkSport 2, Aston Villa against Bologna.
Alex, thank you very much. You can join Alex and the former Arsenal midfielder Adrian Clark when they bring you full live commentary over on TalkSport 2 for that match. Whilst we'll also keep you updated from the game right here with our reporter Adam Bridge. Also tonight in the Conference League, kicking off at 8, Jeff Peters will keep you updated from Fiorentina against Crystal Palace. And Palace perhaps haven't been the most consistent when it comes to Europe this season, but it is their first time in Europe, of course. But they had a barnstorming first leg to take a 3-0 advantage to Italy. Jeff Peters will be keeping you updated for this one, and he has a reminder of the team news too.
Yeah, and Oliver Glasner has warned your face is not involved for them due to injury. Moise Keane and Tariq Lamptey.
Jeff, just while we've got you on the line, when you consider Crystal Palace's season and what's happening with Oliver Glasner, of course, come the end of this season as well, how much do you think the Conference League means to them in terms of the fact this is what is riding on their whole season now, it feels, because they're going to end up sort of mid-table, well, by the look of it, mid-table in the Premier League. So it feels as though they've got to throw all their eggs into this Conference League basket. Yeah,
I think it's hugely important for them. And if you look back to last year, won the FA Cup. This season, out of the FA Cup against a non-league team. They sold Eberechi Eze and Mark Gay. They had that 12-match winless run. Glasner says that he's leaving. But here we are in the middle of April, and they've pretty much got one foot in a major European semi-final. It's been an incredible roller coaster ride over the past 12 months. I think it is huge. Palace, I think, have got a real chance of winning this. But don't forget, Fiorentina have been finalists a couple of times recently, semi-finalists as well. So yes, they are 3-0 up. They've just got to be careful tonight.
Jeff, we look forward to your updates. Thank you very much. Also tonight,